Let's get started.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
Do not attempt to adjust your dial. I'm transmitting live. Yo,
Let's get down to business.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
All right.
for the underground world, every street and borough.
You may learn something.
You are now listening to the Joe Rogan Experience with Chico, Simon, Kamar, and your host, Matt Floyd.
Welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience. My name is Matt Floyd, joined as always by Kamar.
Welcome to the party.
And my Yiddish friend.
Good eye, mate.
What we do here is very simple. The three of us have listened to every episode of the Joe Rogan Experience this week. We're going to rate each episode as well as the week on a scale of 1 to 5 Jamie Vernons. We're then going to talk about each guest, the talking points, give our opinions, this, that, and the next. It is a podcast about a podcast. You can go and fuck yourself. Come on, any new patrons?
You know it's the beginning of October. Happy October, everyone. No Patreons this week, but that's all right. We're still 2,996 away. Thank you to all the Patreons, past and present. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Smash that hit button. And is it true or false? There's the Are You Garbage ripoff on the Patreon. Yeah, and we have our Are You Trash on the Patreon. Join the post, Joe. Extra content every
No, not even close.
You're not good at this.
extra 4 hours. Well, hey, someone's got to do it. Thank you so much, guys. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. That's for sure.
You want to go over the guests so we can do what we do here?
That's for sure.
As we were lamenting in the pre-show meeting, it was a slower week. We had 2208. Bring him Bueller. Note, I did that the last time he was on.
I don't want to note anything like that.
Followed by 2209, Paul Rosalie. But here's the deal. There was a JRE MMA show, which we don't cover, but it was Stylebender, Israel Adesanya, which I'm sure was a very popular podcast that people listen to with a lot of interest, but I did not. Did you guys listen to it?
No, we don't do them here. I don't bother.
Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys.
Simon
Love
hates
you.
Stylebender. There's no way Simon was going to listen
No,
to that.
I don't listen to any of the MMAs. Like Matt, I get my fill of Joe Rogan in the ones we have to listen to.
And on top of that, you don't like the guy? Like he's a cocky fighter?
I don't like him.
No, he does not.
I don't
No.
like
He paints his nails.
That's not why I don't like him.
That's what you said to me. You said this guy
That's-
paints his nails. You said a slur and then two slurs, actually.
That must have been while you were wearing those white robes and telling me how much you hated Jews and black people.
It's a good start to the show.
Yeah. You might as well just get canceled anyway.
Kamar?
It's been one of those days.
This is gonna freak you out. I'll give it a 3. I'll give it a 3, and that's charitable and generous, and probably it's the new me. I'll give something more than it deserves, but I won't lie to you.
It's weird because like the Brigham one, it feels like that should be like the Innocence Project guy. It feels like he should almost be on reminding us and telling us this like every month.
That's charitable.
I'm saying I don't just. Okay, fine.
No, I definitely would not like that. If
I'm
he
not
came
saying
on
I would
every
like that. I'm just saying what he's doing. Like if he could somehow fix the food and medicine industry in North America, not that I expect it. What happens down there happens up here. So it would be pretty impressive if through this guy's work, something actually got done.
100%.
That's all I'm trying to say.
100%. Doesn't mean I like the podcast.
I'm trying to be as generous as I can here. It was not a great week. I mean, it was only 2. It was light work. You shouldn't be, I give it 2.5. That's the highest I can go.
I listened to another podcast this week on a different show. You know what I mean?
You listen to a different podcast.
A different
yeah?
podcast.
You can just say that.
I
yeah.
would rate it a 5.
The other one you listened
other
to.
one I
Because
listened
it was
to.
Bigfoot centric.
No, it wasn't. It
Oh,
was,
dude,
it
it's
was
like
all
having
about-
sex with a new girl.
It was all about the military-industrial complex.
all it is.
This week, I'm going to give a solid 1.5.
You are sick and tired of getting
And,
ear fucked by Joe Rogan, and you got some new
1.5.
some new ear dick.
side piece, yeah.
You got some new ear dick.
This guy, Joe, would be way too scared to have this guy on. It's way too controversial.
Tell him about how you like side tit.
What?
Oh man, that's funny.
If I understood what you said.
We
Oh,
laughed.
man, that's
You-
funny.
I didn't laugh.
You
I
didn't have to
looked.
understand.
I looked at Matt quizzically.
Oh, man.
You did
that's
look
funny.
a little baffled.
Oh, man.
All right.
I'll tell you in the
Oh,
post,
boy.
Joe.
All right, well, let's start it off. Brigham Bueller.
2208 Brigham Bueller coming right up. Maybe I had a bad week. I just don't like either of these guys. But that doesn't mean what they're talking about is false or I'm right.
Maybe I had a bad week. I just hate these people.
You hate.
No, I don't hate any of
small
them.
farm. You were just talking about what,
Yes,
what I just
yeah.
did. Yeah. I know.
Like how Simon doesn't listen to you, you don't listen to me.
No, I think it's just the way he says insurance.
What did you do this weekend?
I listened to Brigham Bueller and Paul Rosalie.
Rosalie.
I mean,
Okay.
Rosalie should be a good episode.
We already started Brigham
in
Bueller.
theory. No, I'm just saying,
Okay.
like, in theory, that should be a good episode. It's just,
It would be a good episode if
It's
Joe
hard
had
to-
done the legwork that Lex did and like went and lived in the Amazon.
Oh, for sure. And
Instead,
it's-
Joe wanted to explain old growth forest to a guy that lives in the Amazon.
And it's hard to tell any good stories when you have a big fat cock in your mouth.
Well, it would be good to talk about that when we're not talking about Brigham Bueller. What this came down to, I think, is the idea that the disciplined, healthy lifestyle, he's met up with RFK. So now that is branded by them and a bad thing, or it's racist. And so it really is this systemic thing. Like, I hate to use that word, but it doesn't matter, Democrats or Republicans. There's good ideas on both sides, but because they're locked up with the bad ideas that the other people will never budge on, nothing gets done.
Yeah.
Tie a bow on it. Isn't that beautiful?
No, it's not. It's terrible.
Discipline and eat right really is what it comes down to. And this guy is not against Ozempic, which is GLP-1.
Well, I think that should tell you something right there.
This guy's small pharma.
Why should that tell you something?
He's also the stem cells.
He said Ozempic has a place. Like that's like being like Oxy probably had a place.
Yes,
Fentanyl
no,
has a place,
I
right?
understand.
We
yeah.
just abuse them and probably overprescribe them.
Gotcha. So maybe it has a place for something other than being a weight loss drug. Is what you
Yeah, I think his point was like they're,
Well, the problem was when they brought it up that a Kardashian now has her own
Yeah, that
weight
was the
loss
problem.
drug.
Well, how does he feel about this mass distribution of Ozempic?
How does Brigham Bueller?
Yeah.
One of the things he talked about was the use of, which Chad a couple weeks ago talked about, was AI being your primary diagnosis sort of thing. So maybe it had something to do with if there's a proper way to know who actually needed the Ozempic versus wanted out of. Would you take it if someone just gave it to you?
What do you mean? Why would I just take Ozempic?
Like somebody like on the street?
Yeah.
That's a weird way of
Or
telling
your
you.
doctor.
Yeah, this dude who was sucking my dick was like, hey, do you want some free Ozempic?
No, that's a weird way of telling
Why
someone.
is he sucking your dick?
Because he's giving me drugs on the street. It's kind of like hand in hand.
Oh,
Do you not know how getting free drugs on the street works? Someone's getting their dick sucked, Simon.
Gotcha.
It's a weird way of telling someone they're fat. You know, like you give someone some
that's
compliment if they had bad breath.
It's a good Christmas gift. It's a good Christmas gift.
Ozempic. Don't mention
I got you 1 year of Ozempic.
You do it for me.
Here's some Viagra. What the fuck? My dick. Oh, I just figured.
No way your dick works.
The pharmaceutical companies haven't even explored this.
They haven't,
gift drugs.
dude. They haven't figured it out yet. They haven't figured it out.
What I
until they
really
do.
like is the idea of like you going to AI for your medical information, not realizing that Pfizer built the fucking nuclear power plant that's
Yeah.
powering AI.
No matter what the question is, you definitely need
Yeah,
Ozempic.
yeah. I think Ozempic would do you some good. Yeah. You're like, I have athlete's foot.
My leg's been really hurting me. Sounds like a job for Ozempic.
I obviously I'm saying that naively, but I really don't think like you can not trick AI, but like you obviously would maybe block out ever saying anything about the investors in Pfizer and what other horrible things they did.
Hold on.
But as far as a diagnosis, it wouldn't matter who's
The
running it.
parameters of all the AIs are set by human beings. They're not, these AIs aren't sentient. You realize that, right?
But we're talking about diagnosing blood samples or breast cancer.
If that AI that you're using, let's call it DocBot, whatever the fuck it is, was built by Google, and Google doesn't want you to know that the best thing for you to do is, I don't know, rolfing or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some holistic
Yeah.
that's not going to make the drug company any money. Bet your bottom dollar that's not going to show up in the list of prompts, you know?
It's true. If
Well,
you
we were
said,
talking they were being owned by Purdue or
Well, that's even worse.
Pfizer. Well, no, but someone owns it.
Okay.
someone owns what?
The drug, like this person
No,
who
we're
has an
just
agenda.
we're just saying that it's not going to make it a
Save all, be all.
well, I mean, I think it would be good because it would help people find problems really early on. Of
course, we all agree with that.
That's good.
But you think
But
they'll
about
make sure there's-
distributing drugs and shit, if it's owned by drug companies, it's going to be a fucking disaster. It's going to be a quicker way for them to put your kids on antidepressants, and you know what I mean?
Well, that leads to the other point, though, that some of the already existing medicines may be what's killing us. He talked about the one story about the guy who was on painkillers, and he said, "I want to get off these," and it was like it was really hard, but then he got off them, and then he actually got healthy because the same way, almost like XTC or something, tries to kill you to get rid of the disease. You come that close and like hopefully you beat this, but you actually could beat it with, back to what they said, exercise, diet. I liked it when Joe was like, sure, people are obese and can use that, but I'm the just eat right, exercise, do steroids guy. He was trying to talk about his natty, but
He was trying to talk about he's natty.
I've heard too many people talk about being on something, celebrities, whoever.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's on something.
It's more common than you would think, and I guess it's maybe too expensive. I don't know, or illegal.
Are you talking about Ozempic?
I'm talking about Ozempic or the human growth hormone or steroids. I guess in other places like Mexico or in the South, they are over the counter or whatever it is. But some of these are prescription, how to get them and how much they cost.
You know what's interesting though, Kumar? I read this fucking let's say AI. Let's say we did implement AI and it could pick up a cancer quicker than normal. I read this thread the other day about this woman. She was an American living in Sweden, and she was like, I felt a lump on my breast. And she's like, but I'm in Sweden, and I don't know, I don't know the healthcare system. I don't know how it works. And she's like, so I went to a hospital, and they were like, you have to go down to the cancer center. They gave her the address, and she was like, okay. So she goes down, and she's like, at this one place, I walk up, I go right to the desk, I tell them about my lump. She's like, it's $20 or 20 krooners, whatever, like the equivalent of 20 American dollars. She's like, they send me down the hall. I get a mammogram and a bunch of x-rays, and then they make me wait 5 more minutes, and then I go down another hall to another place. And she's like, all this happened in one building where they had all the info, and I didn't have to go. And she was talking about how the system here is like, Simon's talked about it, like you'll go see a specialist or you'll go see a doctor, and they're like, you have to go see a specialist, and that's going to be
The
4 week
referral, he talked about that.
precisely the referral. And she was like, all this got done under one building. I was there and gone within like an hour and a half. It cost me $20, and all the results were there ready to go. And like,
Our system is not
definitely not
made to-
streamlined.
yeah,
That's for sure.
But then
It's not
that
made
leads,
in the best interest of the people.
then that
That's
leads
for
to the
sure.
idea of healthcare tourism. If you're sitting in line here and say it costs $3,000 for a round fare ticket to go to a place for a treatment that costs $20, in the end of the day, it'd be totally worth it. And I'm sure people are free to do that if that's available to you.
Part of this podcast I was listening to
Yeah.
that gets a 5.
Military
Yeah.
industrial complex. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was all about they were trying to come up with a vaccine. This was just one part of it. They were trying to come up with a vaccine for the polio vaccine back in whatever year that was. And they were using monkeys to do the to try and, I don't know, make
Research.
the gene work. No, like they for research to the next step before giving it to people, right? So they
He says no to me first.
they use some monkey, and long story short, it taints the
Trial?
the vaccine
Okay.
with this thing called the simian virus. They called it simian virus 40. And then they ended up going through with the vaccine anyways and gave, I don't know, something like 400,000 people in America at that time
Jesus.
these tainted virus things. And this guy contends that that was like the beginning of cancer. It created this new thing that hadn't been there anymore because this simian virus goes in and makes it easier for bad things to get to your RNA and DNA.
So is his contention that there was no cancer before this?
That's correct.
And AI can figure that out.
And simian virus 40 is the one that fucked it up, that fucked up the polio vaccine. But it means that there are 39 other simian viruses out there in different vaccines, Matt. Like the whole thing is so fucking crazy. It's so nuts. Anyway, sorry.
Simian virus.
I don't mean to derail.
Derail.
No,
it was very interesting and
Yeah,
enlightening.
Thank you, Kamar.
There was one point where it felt like Joe was getting Jamie to search up stuff and nothing got. He claimed that Joe Biden's son died from brain cancer that he got from working in a burn pit. And then he asked him something else and actually didn't bring any of that up.
Kamar's just throwing shade at Jamie.
No, I think it was Joe.
So sorry,
flying through stuff.
Joe Biden's son died because he was working in a burn pit, like where they
Or
were
near
burning
burn pits.
bodies
Or
somewhere
whatever they're burning. Waste, whatever they burnt.
in the war.
Do you guys recall how much
In the war,
Yeah.
Do you
in
guys
a war. yeah.
recall in the Iraq War? There's a time when there's just an oil field as far
on
as you
fire.
can see.
It was
Kuwait.
Kuwait. Kuwait was on fire.
Oh, sorry, whatever it was.
Well, they were burning the oil fields.
yes,
that was the whole
but
thing.
that level of fossil fuel pollution or whatever. I urge anyone who's younger who wouldn't be listening to this podcast to go back and look. But it was crazy.
Well, remember the Exxon Valdez
Of course.
Yeah, but
crashing?
that was just a boat oozing out. It
No,
was,
I
it was
know,
harder
but,
to see, it was
like-
harder to see the
It was oozing out.
or the one that was at the bottom of the ocean, which I think is the biggest, or the Nord Stream.
It's
which was the
funny
biggest.
because everybody made such a big deal about that. It was terrible. Like Kamar said, the optics are bad. That oil going on top of the water and killing.
Where's
the
that
birds.
air going to go?
Every time a ship comes over, with all the shipping containers on it, all of that shit goes to the bottom of the ocean. You just don't see it because it's not black. You know what I mean?
Well, there's not. What do you mean all that shit?
Lots of bad stuff comes out of those
Yeah, sure.
boats and goes and kills things in the ocean that we never hear about because it's not ducks on the top covered in black.
No
goo.
optics.
Yeah, but hold on. That shit in the Gulf of Mexico, that was way worse than a million ships running forever.
What was the shit in the Gulf of Mexico?
The BP oil spill where it was dumping out like 1 million barrels of oil into the Gulf of Mexico every hour.
When was this?
You could see it.
This was like 10 years ago.
That sounds
They had
terrible.
to cap it.
You don't
I don't
remember,
remember this.
For a month and a half.
It
This
was
thing,
just spewing oil. Shut the fuck
100,000
up.
barrels an hour. Yeah.
No way.
How do you not remember
Where's
this?
Elon to fix that shit?
He had
man?
him simulated
created yet. Yeah.
Hold on.
He had ingestated from his pod.
I know you're going to give me some, this is for the post-Joe shit. Tell me you saw Elon Musk at the Trump rally.
Okay.
Jumping around like a child.
Not jump.
Jumping around as a child, and then the speech he gives.
Yeah.
That was real. I thought for sure that
looked
was
AI, right?
AI.
I thought-
I was being got.
Yeah.
Where he said this is going to be the last election. They sound fucking bonkers.
Well, the other side says that too.
Look at this guy. You like Elon all of a sudden because he's a Trump guy? That's
He never,
crazy.
hold on, Kamar never fully got on board of the not liking Elon Musk.
And just
for the record.
speaking of what not knowing whether something's true or not.
Yeah.
Did Tulsi Gabbard interview Donald Trump and like was asking him questions? Did that really happen or was that AI generated?
I didn't see that one. You'd have to ask Kamar.
I don't know. You'd have to ask.
He was asking, they were talking about IVF, in vitro fertilization
Yeah,
for
yeah.
you.
Gross.
laymen.
Yeah.
Welcome to showbiz. I mean, to Hollywood, Matt. Yeah, I don't know if it was real or not. That's how fucking crazy things are right now. I don't know whether I'm watching real things.
Highlight of the show now, though, and I believe this was real because it came from a time before AI, is that Trump sent Mark Cuban a happy failure letter.
I told you, Trump. I've mentioned their feud many times. They hate each
I
other.
just love it. I love it. But I think it's because he did the show, The Benefactor,
No, they hated each other way before
which was
that.
the same thing.
They hated each other long before that.
Sorry, Mark Cuban did a show called The Benefactor.
You don't remember that? And he was asking people to make decisions. It's so murky because he's a creepy guy.
And he was like, "You're hired." He hired people at the end. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, he did.
No, he didn't.
I swear he did. It's on right in.
What was the point of The Benefactor?
Chat.
Was he giving people money?
Chat, what was the benefactor, the point of the benefactor? I ran into someone the other day who's not
Chat, like we're live streaming.
who's not much older than me,
Yeah.
and they've had a hip replaced, or they might have been a little bit older or younger than me. And it's like in life, you've heard about hip replacements all your life, and all you think about is a walker and a grandpa sweater, and then when you see someone like, oh, that's a thing that could happen to someone, and really,
Well, did it happen because of like a sports injury or
I
something?
didn't ask. I just sort of pushed them down the stairs out of their misery. But that's a thing that you would never think about in your first 40 years. I'm sure someone in 28 has some problem, gets a hip replacement. It's a very common thing.
I'm just unclear as to like there are two different types of like knee replacements. There's the ones you get when you're old because you've just had a lifetime of wear on your knee. Then there are ones you get because you were, I don't know, playing pickup basketball and you blew your knee out.
Like, I think I'll need it. My hip is fucked. I can already feel it.
I'm sorry to bring that up then.
Well, it's on a
You
sore.
have a bad hip.
Oh, my hip is so fucked. Yeah.
Wow.
So
And that's not from sports, obviously.
I mean, I skateboarded for a long time, so you act as though like. Why are you shaking your head like
I'm
that?
nodding my head. I played horseshoes.
they talked about the opioid problem is as
Such a piece of shit.
bad as it's ever been,
Yeah.
in spite of seeing
Because of fentanyl.
but despite of or the damage that Purdue, Pfizer, all these companies, I mean the Sacklers, all the information we've seen about that, anything like that was then. That was the worst. When we didn't know what was going on over now, everyone is aware of what's going on. It's still just bad. Maybe it's from organized crime only, but
I think it's just all fentanyl.
it's another one of those problems that there's too much bureaucracy to fix it.
Well, no, because
No,
you
but
can
Simon-
see even in our country, they've done tons of things to.
It's been an epidemic for 10, 15 years. This isn't like the
Hear me
last
out.
4
Hear
years
me out,
that
though,
this came
Simon.
up.
For a long time, if you had an opioid problem, you were most likely a heroin junkie, which meant you went out and shot up heroin or smoked heroin or something, right? What the Sacklers did was they created opioid addicts in normal
Yeah.
everyday people.
Yeah.
And then that
100%.
continued on throughout. And the insidious thing about pills, like, it's a weird thing for us because, like, when we were in school, maybe you smoked a little bit of pot, right? But you weren't going to, like, I don't know. I don't remember anyone doing coke in high school or like, especially before school or any sort of thing like that. I think a lot of kids nowadays are popping pills before school, during school.
Well, I think that happens with weed now too, with edibles. Like, I think you'd be really surprised.
No, sure. But my point remains that, like,
We were only smoking joints before school.
yeah, my point is, like,
That's what I'm hearing.
I had friends who would drink and go
Pills,
to school.
pills.
Well, there were no pills when we went to
Yes,
school.
there was. Of course, there was. My grandmother was a pill addict.
No. But like
Lots of medication.
we
was going around.
didn't even have
Molly
the common
Percocet.
sense to like look through medicine cabinets. You know what I mean? It wasn't even a thought in our minds for me.
But that's my point, Simon.
up.
You're strengthening my point.
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
nowadays kids are like, oh, I bet my mom has a Percocet or an Oxy. Oxy's a but
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it's just
some
'cause
sort
it's
of
part of
some
the-
Does
sort
your
of
mother
opiate.
have any oxy? No. I remember some kids in high school who were doing Valium. For sure, that was around.
I remember a
wish I
few.
knew kids
I
who
remember
were
a
doing
few
Valium.
people doing speed. Like,
Really?
Yeah. Like
But
I
it was
remember this-
Adderall or
I don't know. I just remember this girl in one of my classes. She used to constantly. She would show up and she's like, "I did some speed."
Well,
at
what do you
lunch."
mean? You
Prescribed?
could buy speed if you wanted to.
Yeah, I could have gotten you speed back in the day for sure.
Just like you could have gotten Coke.
I could have gotten you that back in the day
Allegedly.
too.
well, could you have gone Adderall?
No.
Well, that's weird. It's so weird.
Because I don't think Adderall was around back then.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
There was Ritalin.
Okay, so you could get Ritalin.
I had Ritalin, but
Oh,
it
it
was
comes
for
out.
ADD. I wasn't interested in it. It was a drug I was purposely not taking.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Or was it our subpar healthcare system drug deal that's all they would allow us to have?
No, but I mean, that's how stupid I was. I had something that people would have wanted and didn't even know to. You know what I mean?
They did talk about how there's food in America that we can't even get here because it's so bad for you. So maybe that's so we can walk around high up. Joe
We
ate
can't, though,
those
'cause
Agent Orange Fruit
We
Loops.
we have a ban on some dye, I think, right? That they use in tons of shit down there.
I still like Europe. I think has the bet. Like Europe is where they have the most food security in the sense of like,
Healthy.
yeah, they don't allow anything.
The other thing this guy said in this podcast that I was listening to,
Yeah.
what's wrong?
I was hoping that was from this podcast that we listened to. And I was like, Simon's finally put in effort.
Nope. Denied. How about this other show I listened to though? Yeah.
And at one point, they started talking about TV, and I knew they had
It's
exhausted
all over.
everything.
Yeah.
That wasn't a bit. I was going to tell you a story.
Oh, was it?
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
really?
I'm sorry.
His contention was that, well, sorry, what were we talking about right before there?
Natural disasters and hip replacements.
Yeah.
No.
This is a segment I've been waiting to get to.
Okay,
I really fucked you there, but we had a good laugh. So, hey, it's Sunday, baby.
I guess it's worth it.
Or Tuesday, if you're listening. Thank you
baby.
so much. Join the Patreon, please. They were talking about natural disasters: hurricane, tornado, earthquake, tsunami. What else?
Hurricane,
Typhoon?
tornado, earthquake,
No,
tsunami.
what do you?
Earthquake.
We have to give you a finite sort of. You have a van, you have an ATV, whatever you want. Which one are you wanting to try to endure?
I don't think an ATV is a great idea.
You just have to find a hole. If you're in an earthquake, you're done for. If it's a big one and you're up, you can't be.
What do you mean? If you're in an earthquake in the middle of nowhere,
Earthquake's the best. Yeah.
earthquake's the best one to be in?
To try to survive, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you live on
Hurricane's
if you live on a
horrible.
mountain, then it's
You're talking
tsunamis.
about being like the mix of things.
The epicenter sort of thing.
If you're in the mix of things, a tsunami is probably the worst.
Tsunami, hurricane, one of the
I,
same.
I think
almost.
all of them are terrible.
No, tsunami's got to be the worst.
Earthquake.
Tsunami's really bad, but look at what happened with the
Yeah, the
hurricane. It
hurricane's very
made
bad,
like
yeah.
tsunamis. So
Or did DARPA do that?
Oh, here we
We'll
go.
be right back. You can never work for a company you investigate. Like all the FDA funding and like, is that clear as day as we all as human beings should be like, yes, this is a thing.
Yeah.
I work at a place and sometimes they have to hire temporary workers. Now they're not temporary foreign workers, but they're on contract. We need you for these 4 hours, show up in black clothes and work there. You don't work for there, you work for us, but they're going to tell you what to do. If a person does that, they can't work for that place. If that place says, hey, you're really good at your job, do you want to stay here, a full-time job there? They cannot. And I guess that's what they do. They give a 6-month period where you can't work for the company that you were just
It's called
investigating.
it's called a non-compete.
But it's got to be a lifetime. Okay, Simon disagrees.
No, I agree with you.
I
Mean
don't
mugging me.
disagree. I'm sorry. I don't know. Whatever.
The problem is the FDA is not like it's insane to me that the FDA isn't funded.
It's underfunded. It is funded, but
Yeah,
it's
it's-
funded by
okay,
the government
fine,
or
yeah.
whatever. And
The point is they got like one guy.
pharmaceutical
They got
companies
one guy in an office who's like dealing with everything
and big food and big chemicals.
And that's it. They
Well, that person is a figurehead, a showpiece. Like the government is totally bought off by all these industries.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is not a conspiracy theory. It's a proven fact. Like just look at sugar, look at,
Yeah, I agree with you. We have an agreement. My point, though, still remains. If the FDA was well funded and they had an office full of people that were actually handing out fines and saying you can't use this product's no good, imagine how great a place it could be.
Yeah, it would probably be a great place. I mean, that's the way it was supposed to be.
I
I'm sure
agree.
that's why they invented the FDA.
Yeah,
in the first
100%.
place.
Yeah.
Or maybe they didn't. Maybe it's always been just
The motive was
sham.
a
genuine.
cover,
Yeah.
Well, because
I mean, that's the smartest thing you could do.
We make it seem like the government has gotten bad. They've been bad from the start, And I don't mean from the start, like from the making of the Constitution. That was probably good shit. But from the time the military industrial complex comes into play,
Yeah.
like that really is the beginning of the end. So anyways, that's kind of what they were talking about in this other podcast I was listening to, because they were saying like right around the same time where the Rockefellers start pushing in and like fucking with the pyramid of food and how we're taught in schools, and they introduce high fructose corn syrup right at around the same time. And then they introduce cellular, all of a sudden the phones go cordless, and then we get cell phones, and then apparently blue screen technology, that LED light, that whatever, they've been working on that for a long time because that's like the most important part of their plan, because these are all things that like slow down our like they slow us down as human beings, Mm-hmm. They make us dumb and malleable and anyways.
Here's a little.
Hold on. Can you give the people the podcast?
Yes, yeah, it was.
It's the right thing to do for the person that made the podcast,
you
too.
are absolutely correct, Matt. I love that you're so on top of things. It was the Danny Jones podcast. It was episode number 263 called Exiled Brain Surgeon, DARPA Mind Control, maybe. Oh.
There you go, gangs. Check it out.
So check it out. This guy, if even 10% of what he says is true,
craziness.
we're living in a fucking freak show.
Kamar, what else you got, pal?
Okay. I won't talk about it again until the post.
No, you're allowed to. I just listen. All I was saying was, if you're going to drop it, you might as well let the people know so that they could maybe go and listen. And it's the right thing to do for the guy that made the podcast.
But
and in post, you'll throw up the
link in the fucking
it
the
is
annotation.
interesting though
which I won't do.
when you hear how many things kind of happened all at the same time. Like we don't think about it because by the time they had happened, we're already. It's happened and then we grow up. You know what I mean? We're far enough removed that it seemed like this is how it's always been, but it wasn't how it's always been. It literally like takes a dramatic turn right at some point and nobody fucking notices. And I don't know like what generation is responsible for not putting up enough of a fuss, I guess.
I mean, I think you're forgetting that so Benz creates the car, Ford makes the car accessible to everyone, and then you have like a 50-year period straight where there's lead in the air and everyone's batshit crazy. So I think that 50 years could be really important in the sense that everyone was just loopy crazy, like fucking batshit crazy and willing to do all sorts of crazy shit.
That is interesting. Was that around the time where they were getting people to fight in wars?
No, I mean, there's been war forever, right? But I mean, again, if you think about it, World War I and II were pretty fucking substantial.
I mean, those were the wars. That's when.
Well, it depends where you're from. There are people, there's certain African wars. I mean, listen, the Civil War in the Congo is like the fifth bloodiest war in history.
Civil War would have been. No, I was just thinking like the last, when you're sending your kids to war type of deal.
I think that's been going on for thousands of years, unfortunately.
Not in America, it hasn't.
I have it right here.
America's only been around
well,
for,
that's all I have to compare it to.
I have it right here. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration traces its origins back to the Bureau of Chemistry, which was established in 1906 after the passage of the Pure Food Drug Act. This law was in response to public outcry over the unsanitary conditions in food production and misleading claims made by drug manufacturers. So that would be an interesting story to do. I mean, that just sounds like it's doing the right thing. People were giving people anything, say it was anything.
But I think
Well,
Simon's
if
point
you
is
had to all of a
snake oil.
sudden,
This was the end
if
of the
you had
snake
to
oil
all of a
salesman.
sudden alter the way they had been doing things for a long time, that's exactly how you would do it. Oh, we have to do this radical. Like, doesn't it sound really familiar, guys, to what they're doing right now with electric cars? Like, we have to make this change. It's so important that we make this change right away. Like, it's all bullshit, man. This is the other thing this guy said in this thing. He said that things like that happen all the time. The electric car is an example, but the ones he used was the blue screen. That's their best way to.
I love how he's like, I'm not going to bring it up again until the close Joe, and he's immediately right back to it.
That's
Go on, the blue
that's
screen,
their
I'm
best
listening.
way to keep you stupid
Is
because
just
that
staring at
blue
the blue
screen
screen.
is so bad for you. And apparently light bulbs, old light bulbs, incandescent light bulbs,
Yeah.
the ones that just got banned. Remember by Obama, there was this. Well, they did it here in Canada too, but this huge thing to switch to LED light bulbs because the other ones are so inefficient and blah 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 blah. Those light bulbs apparently were good for us because they not only have like
Probably have a hum that you can't even pick
no,
up
they
on.
have a red spectrum, a yellow spectrum, and a blue spectrum, whereas LED bulbs only have blue spectrum. So those LED bulbs are just like the blue screen. They're getting you from every direction, dude. Like,
They're getting you from every direction.
it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy.
Nothing sounds crazy.
But if you believe that our government gave everybody cancer, you want to hear something else crazy? You know how everybody talks about, is it the Tuskegee thing where they give syphilis to all the black people there?
Yeah.
That was like not even the worst thing. They apparently dropped LSD on the city of St. Louis.
They've done all sorts of crazy
Just
shit.
out of airplanes and just to see what would happen. Like, these people are crazy.
And crazy
man.
stuff they did to monkeys.
But keep in mind, I'm
Oh,
telling
no, that's the next one. Sorry.
remember, like, we're sitting here right now unleaded. Like, that's crazy. A room full of leaded suits might have been like, this is fucking brilliant. Let's drop ecstasy over New York too. You know what I mean? Like,
Suits.
It's,
What are you
he's
talking
just
about?
giving everyone their out because they're on lead. I don't.
what
buy
I
it.
said to you was like, everyone was fucking crazy because of lead in the air and gasoline. And all I'm saying is like, us sitting here now, we can be like, it's crazy that they dropped LSD on a city. But at the time, if you're fucking leaded up,
Maybe it was the antidote to the lead. No,
there you go.
I don't think so.
Joe highlighted how difficult it is for Canadians to get into America to work. I really appreciate that support. Whereas if you're breaking in, it's
There's nothing stopping you from breaking in.
yeah. I remember when I lived in Australia, that was one of the things that I thought about.
What do you mean breaking in?
Like, I think that'd be a
just
great
going
piece
over
of
the
content.
border?
Yeah. We get
You
Kamar.
have to stay over.
Kamar takes that camera. We fly him to Mexico City. We find him a coyote. He pays said coyote the correct amount of money. And then we document Kamar illegally sneaking in to get asylum in the U.S., where he will then stay indefinitely.
Right, I see.
Like,
what
he
you're
can't
saying.
leave for the next 20
I
years. He
thought
can
you
never come
meant
home
he
for
was going to
Christmas.
sneak in from Canada to the U.S. because that's got to be pretty easy, right? There's got to be a lot of open border from all over the place where you could just get in a. It's probably not even a river. It's probably just a line on the forest.
Hear me out. If they're letting all these people in illegally and they're flying them places and they're giving them debit cards to get started and they're putting up in hotels, they should have some sort of more lenient policy if you're coming to only add to.
Kamar, they're there for asylum. You can't claim asylum. And you keep saying it's illegal. They're there,
Well,
again.
maybe
but
if you claim that Trudeau is so shitty that you need asylum in the States.
Like, that's interesting. You should say the most offensive joke you can, get Mike warded, and then walk in through
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Manitoba and be like, I'm actually being persecuted in my country.
That would be a greasy angle. Something I might.
I thought we were looking for greasy angles. What are we doing here?
Look into this more.
He's
Whatever, man. I'm just making the point. If you're this dedicated, we can make it happen.
It's a commitment. Marriage seems like the most reasonable.
Yeah,
But even
that's
then
the
you
way
have
You're
to-
do
20
it,
years
man.
behind that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
No, you go and you marry some old lady who's on, like, her husband just died.
Absolutely, yeah.
You just got to move into, and you're not that far from it, man. Like, you're almost 50, or you're over 50.
The point is, you should be able to say, I have, say, $20,000. Let me come to your country. Like, I'm just adding to your country if you can work while you're there. Because I was going to talk about the post, Joe, but you know what a huge problem is with America? Is there's a large percentage of the upper class that spends half the year in Florida. There's a high number of people, more than you think.
Are you talking about in Canada?
Yeah. Who go down to Florida for winters.
Snowbirds, yeah.
And they
What's
spend
your point?
all their Canadian money there.
Oh.
And it's just it's a sizable sum.
This guy's
on a-
hilarious. He's clearly never. Have you been to Florida? All their money. These people are the cheapest fucks on earth. They
No,
spend,
but it's spending there instead of
I
spending
understand,
here.
but I'm telling you, as someone who's been there with these people, they're not
Yeah,
spending.
they go to early bird dinners where they pay $5.99 for a prime rib buffet.
It's still money that's
I
not
get
being
it.
spent or being kept in our economy.
So let me get this right. First, it's the immigrants coming and stealing your jobs, and now they're stealing our old people. We're fucking doomed, man.
I don't know, man. Oh, and there's no doubt it's not like some people walk up and get to the border just freelance. You know, like you can't just. Can you just sell your house without a real estate agent?
yeah.
Yep.
Well, you can't just go to the border without a real estate agent, and that's a coyote.
Yeah, I said that.
Like make no.
Why
but it-
can't you?
because they
because
control
they run the whole
because
thing.
they control
It
the
is-
Mexican
it is
border.
Like, oh, I guess you found your own way up there.
Yeah, no, that doesn't- yeah.
They run the whole thing. Make no mistake
okay.
about that whatsoever.
Like Simon, they all have these bracelets.
Mistake rescinded.
Simon, they all have these colored bracelets that like tell the coyotes like which cartel has gotten them there, and it's kind of like if you don't have, I'm pretty sure if you don't have one of those,
So they're running like a tour service into the United States.
yeah.
I don't want to be incendiary here, but can you trust anyone who told you that the truth about COVID or vaccines was a lie and lied, vice versa?
Like any politician.
No,
you mean?
no. There's health professionals and everyone.
Well, those people didn't know they were wrong.
You can just give them they didn't know they were wrong.
The people,
but this time they'll
the
be
people
right.
I hold responsible are people who knew and were still telling you the wrong thing.
Say more.
What do you mean though? I'm curious. Like if you're, but Simon, if you're in the medical profession,
Yeah.
you just do what you're told. That's it. That's how you look at this. I'm just curious.
Well, most doctors, if they want to keep their jobs, do as they're told. I don't think there's.
But you realize that there is. It's called an ethics. They swear to uphold this.
Well,
ethical.
yeah, I think they thought they were doing the right thing. They didn't know the professionals, the
they are the
people in
professionals.
charge, the people who are making the decisions, the fucking whoever that those people trust were telling them what to do. And I'm sure
Let me ask you a question. Would you trust a nurse who got fired during COVID because she wouldn't get vaccinated more than a nurse who got vaccinated and wore a mask the
I
whole
would
time?
trust them
Excellent
both. I
question.
would trust them both the same.
All right, I
if
wouldn't.
you ask me,
You would take the one who got fired.
if there's still people who are taking shots today, well, that's a whole different story.
Which brings us to the-
but if we're
Kamar, it's very simple. If you were willing to lose your job to do what you thought was right, which is the whole idea of the fucking code of ethics, is that I believe this isn't making people better. This isn't
the
doing what
other
it's
people thought they were doing right too. Like, I don't understand
It was
what you're
their
talking
code of
about.
ethics.
It's
So Simon,
the
the
same
Nazis,
thing.
the Nazis thought they were doing what was right
Ideology.
too. Does that exempt them from the horrible things they were doing?
No.
Okay, so we've gotten past that. The whole we think we were doing right doesn't matter, right? You can throw that out the window.
Well, but I'm not going to hold them. I'm not going to hold the doctors responsible for information they didn't have.
No, but hold on. The information they did have was that this vaccine was not tested enough. There were people on Joe Rogan's podcast that had this information. So your argument that like Joe Schmo doctor didn't is crazy. They all have access to the same medical information.
Joe Schmo doctors weren't the ones who were giving you the vaccine.
Fine.
You were getting the vaccine at pharmacies.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't know what we're getting angry at the doctors.
Asked and answered.
But you were forced to wear a mask like everywhere you went by the government, and doctors backed that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like again, like the doctors they weren't the ones deciding it. So did they back it? Like, did they tell you that it was a good idea? I never I never spoke to my doctor about anything during COVID.
Asked and answered.
100%. I can tell you the honest truth.
Do you have a doctor?
Yeah.
Okay.
It never came in like.
Asked and answered.
Why
Fair
would I
enough.
have gone to them about anything?
They're your doctor.
I mean, it's a weird thing. You would think you would have gone to your healthcare professional before injecting a
only
vaccine.
person in the world you go to.
Yeah, like, what did you ask you?
Asked and answered.
Okay.
Do you think
We thought, okay, go ahead.
you and your doctor?
But like, let me ask you a question. Your dad is a very smart doctor, correct? Very
Okay.
well read, right?
Sure.
not
He
a
would have had
chemist.
he would have had access to all the pertinent information around the vaccine, correct? And he would have or should have been able to say this hasn't been tested enough for human consumption. Or he could have at least said this isn't going to stop you from getting it. Like, you go, hold on, we go back to the big thing, Simon. You never would have taken it if it had been, you will still get COVID, but you won't die from it. You wouldn't have taken it.
If they had said you'll still get it, but you won't pass it to somebody else, I might have taken it still because it just seemed like the right thing to do at the time.
But we know that's not true either. We all got it and we all passed it along.
No, I know.
No, I'm just saying both.
I just said if that was the case.
Okay. But I said
When
to
some
you,
people
I said to
didn't
you,
know if it was right or wrong. Some people. Do you think Joe Rogan?
Okay, hold on a second. Those people who thought it was right or wrong, nobody knew at the time.
Some people
so
did.
Some people
They just got lucky. They just got lucky for being right.
well, no, but that's a good,
no, but they could have just as easily have been wrong.
Now you talk like Sam Harris. If the
But
vaccine
wait.
did what it said to do, it was the very best thing ever.
well, Simon, that's a weird, but what you're doing is weird is one option
It's
is
so weird.
not injecting a chemical into you. And the
which
other,
I wish I had done.
no, I know, I get that. What I'm saying is like, that's one option. The other option is take the unknown and hope that this thing, hope that COVID is the Spanish flu and will kill everyone, which it didn't. And then B, hope, I don't know.
Well, that's not what they were telling us, though. They were telling us, take this vaccine, you won't get it, and you won't pass it along to anybody else. And that's how
lies.
we're going to stop
And
this
some of
thing.
us were saying, whatever you say, that sounds like bullshit. That doesn't even make sense. Especially just the one thing, and I remember many years ago we talked about it, is that it said, if I get it, then what does it matter what you do?
I know, but
you
like,
could die in the street.
You didn't have the information either.
No, we had that information. That this
Kamar-
thing that stops the spread.
Kamar, I'm just curious. Every vaccine before, the idea was that you couldn't get it and you couldn't spread it.
I guess so. Well,
no, what do you mean you
is
guess
there
so?
anything else that we got a vaccine for that is contagious?
No, I think you could still get it.
Like,
It just
you
wouldn't
can't-
affect you.
You can't get polio from someone.
No, if you got the Hep C vaccine, you couldn't then go and get Hep C. That's the idea
And
of a
that
vaccine.
you could pass through air or something. Anyways, the point being is vaccines do work that as long as you get it, then you don't have to worry about it, especially in a situation like this where it's spreading a cold, I guess. Anyways, the whole thing seemed gross. Immigrants, survival, health. We can all agree to you that you should be healthier. And the reason why you want to be somewhat strong is I don't write it down, but there's a huge percentage of injuries when you're older are from falls.
We've
Bracing falls.
yeah, we know that.
Which you sort of cover with the hip replacement, which I've talked to time again. Watch any skateboard video. Even for some reason I was watching Bam Margera the other day.
Yeah.
He knows how to fall. There's just a way that you take one extra step that seems counterintuitive and you splay out. I mean, sometimes you're going to eat shit, but do not try to go like that. That's my public service. Eat healthy. I give this one a 2.5.
I mean, I guess I'll give it a 3, but it doesn't deserve a 3. Like, listen wise, if you heard the first one, just hear me out. If you listen to the first one, there isn't a lot of
Well, because they talked about the case with Cassie and me, and I can't remember who that was, and have we met them before? One last thing is the only thing that gives me hope is that universal basic income is coming down the pike. And hear me out, I think they should start it at 50 and above. That's going to get some people out of the market, so make room for younger people to get jobs.
Can I ask you a question, though? They don't want to pay us the proper minimum wage. What makes you think that universal basic income is going to be anything near enough to pay anything?
Who are you to kill my dreams?
Yeah, you're right.
I think it might be a year away.
And
that would
I love that he
save
was
my
like,
ass.
I love that he was like, I think it should start with people my age and above.
Yes.
It's so crazy. Like he thinks that the conservatives are going to get into power and
give
give us
him- yeah.
like fuck you. That's
Simon,
the far that you need the liberals in
Simon,
for that.
it's going to be
friend.
a consequence of AI and obsolescence in the job market. It doesn't matter the political party. It's just going to be the price you do it.
No,
Come on, they're nervous.
My dreams.
you know-
My dreams.
They're never gonna let.
I'm not listening.
They're never gonna let work become obsolete. They're gonna
can't
have
hear
you.
you.
They're gonna have you like picking
can't
up
hear
garbage
you.
in a park.
And you know what? AI
can't
is
hear
going to
you.
be the last thing to touch. Is going to be the fucking government.
Sorry, what'd you say?
You know what they're gonna have before
Get out of here.
before any of that? They're gonna have you. They'll be like, you know what, Kamar, we can't have you not working, so you can pick up garbage in this park. And then they're gonna go, Simon, we can't also have you not working. You're gonna be dropping garbage in the park. So Simon's whole day is just making garbage.
You guys are a couple of Donald Trumps because they're just going to give me money and say, do whatever you want with it. Hope you have a happy life, Kamar.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all fucking for it. I just don't think it's happening next year. So if you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna rack up the old Visa card because
Oh,
they're
no.
gonna be giving me 50 grand
no.
next
The
year.
visa's already racked up. That's not an option to do that. This might unrack the
This
visa.
sounds like
if
a
this
last
kicks in.
resort, a fucking like a dying man's life jacket in water.
The last resort is Menendez brothers. We've been down that road before. Which I was going to talk about the post.
Are you
Joe.
talking about killing your parents?
Oh my God! I didn't say that allegedly. What is this P Diddy over here?
No, I
dropping
just want to
dimes?
make it real clear that if something happens to your parents,
It was you.
That would be the last resort, not this basic income. I'm almost there, by the way.
That's what he means by universal basic income. And by universal, I mean just me. Yeah.
UBI.
Yeah.
Is that the name of a company?
KYP.
It's in your account.
Kill your parents.
That's your bricks of cash for me.
Okay, what do you rate it, Simon? You're the only one who
Or
hasn't rated
for
it.
I guess UBI. I mean, this was terrible. I thought I gave it a 1.
You gave it a 1. Now you gave it a 1.
Boom, 1.
All right, we're gonna pay. We're gonna take a break. Maybe pay a bill, and we'll be right back.
And we're back. We'd like to thank BetterHelp for their patronage.
And who else do we want to thank?
And we'd like to thank Matt for all the hard work he does.
Definitely
and
not
Simon
that.
for showing up. And
Nope.
Kamar for whatever he
No,
does.
we want to thank the Patreons.
Oh, and the Patreons.
they are the ones that matter.
And tell a friend because everybody's got friends.
I think they've done
and,
enough, but that's fine.
Oh, yeah, that's the patrons. Everyone else should tell a friend.
Yeah.
Patreons, you do whatever the
Yeah,
fuck you want.
patrons have done enough. You've done enough.
You
Kamar.
do whatever the fuck you want.
Uns war ein Name und a Number, ja?
I'm sorry, Matt. Before I do that, I want to say
German
thank you
is
too.
offensive.
Thank you for everything you do.
German is
And
offensive.
thank you to the Patreons.
Name and a number.
2209
Where'd your iPad
Paul
go?
Rosalie.
Yeah, where is your iPad? What happened?
It got stolen.
Whoa.
Outside.
Rough neighborhood.
Did Chico steal it? What happened? He's one
I
of those
guess.
like monkeys that steals people's electronics and brings them back to Matt.
Do you know how rich I'd be if I had an electronic stealing monkey? Holy fuck.
That'd be sweet.
It'd be amazing. There's this guy on Instagram who has a crow that goes around the city and gets money.
A crow that, yeah, that's amazing.
I know. I thought of you right away. I was
Pet
like,
crow.
I was like, oh my God, this is Simon's dream.
Tell me more.
Can the crow fuck other crows in front of me too? Is that an option?
I'll just, if he's just killing other things, that would be fine. Go on. Come on. We're sorry to
They call Simon the crow cuck.
disrail your.
It would be so much
disrail.
better
What's with me saying disrail?
if
eh?
Paul Rosalie was Australian.
Ah, fucking
That would just
right.
that would just add another level to his, because he's a tale teller of life in the jungle. He regarded Joe about the Lex adventure. Did you guys see that at all?
I did not know
regarded-
that even existed, but that sounds hilarious. He was in the jungle in his
his
suit.
suit.
Full
Yeah.
suit sweat.
Well, I mean, it's so moronic. Like,
It's
Yeah.
interesting
It's
though.
so dumb.
With the lighting that they did have, it does. You could think it's some studio, and they put a bunch of fake plastic pants and just sprayed it with water. You saw clips of it?
I didn't know.
I actually like.
But they are. They're like.
I have a problem with it. I got a problem with it.
Let's hear it.
I think it's dumb.
Okay,
I like Lex. I think he's a nice guy. I like his podcast. He asks good questions.
Okay.
But that's just like a thirsty move. You know what I mean?
Keeping the suit on?
Yeah, go to the jungle. That is so commendable. That's something I could never do in a million years. But if I did do it, I would wear fucking hiking clothes. Like I would wear whatever they told me was going to be the best way to not have any bugs crawl up my pee-pee hole.
It's a glaring consistency with complaining about people who are successful in their ideas, the judgments they take,
Well, hold on.
the risks they take, the commitments they make.
I can't do that with people who are unsuccessful. That just seems petty.
But that's what we do.
It's actually way pettier when they're successful, to be honest.
No.
Yeah, like if you if a friend of yours is always taking off their shirt at the bar and making an ass of themselves, you're being a good friend by being like, you're a fucking moron. Keep your goddamn shirt on. When someone's a millionaire off of taking their shirt off at bars, you just seem petty by being like, oh, really? You just take your shirt off? Like,
I mean, I guess.
I'm just saying, if it works, why? You know what I mean? Like, Simon, if tomorrow you became a multi-millionaire through some weird shtick, you think I'd be mad at you?
I don't know.
Like, if you on this stupid podcast came up with some, like, I don't know, catchphrase like, that ought to do it.
Like, keep your eyes open?
Sure, yeah.
That never caught on.
No. Well, you need listeners for something to catch on.
That's true.
And merch.
Don't do that.
I think it was directed at me.
I think he started off with a strong retard, and I'm here to say it's back.
I don't think it ever left.
I was doing
Never left for Simon.
doing a show
It didn't.
on what day was it? It would be Thursday.
Yeah.
And my buddy is up there. He does this weird character, and he's just shitting on this guy, like you're bald, you're nobody, and he goes, that was a microaggression. Now this is a macroaggression. You fucking retard! It just laces into him, and the crowd loves it, and it was really funny. So in context, it's back, baby. We don't have the N word back, but we got the R word back.
No, I have a friend whose daughter's like in like grade 11, and he's like they are not woke. He's like it's the absolute opposite. He's like she says retard like it's going out of fucking style.
It's completely projected by the media and the idea of what's going on.
Yeah, like we act like kids aren't still brutal. Come on.
According to those Charlie Hunnam, no, that's the actor. Who's the Charlie Kirk?
Yeah.
Who goes around fucking
yelling at
trans people on college campuses?
Yeah.
It seems like those people are still
college campuses. Yeah.
woke.
Yeah.
So maybe the high schools are back, but the colleges are still infested with wokeness, apparently. And I don't know this for a fact because I've never been to those colleges.
Well, no, they don't know shit till they get to university, and then they're surrounded by one leaning faculty.
Or is it just that like generation, it's like my daughter's generation, you know what I mean? They all grew up really like in those, 10, 15 years of everything being super politically correct.
The pendulum is swinging.
Well, it must be if you're saying that, if that's true, what Matt's saying.
Perfect.
And we don't know that because it's
anecdotal.
A one-person anecdotal example. But if that is true, that would be a very small period of time that lasted for. And we would see that make its way through the universities and then essentially disappear. Or like Kamar's saying, those teachers who now have jobs until they leave, right? Like, so it could last another 20 years in the universities. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I also, like you brought up Charlie Kirk. I think you're forgetting that when he does those things, everyone around that tent isn't against Charlie Kirk. Like there's people there that are there to watch him debate. Yeah, there's students there that are pro Charlie Kirk, right?
I have no idea. I always just assumed.
You should have run your mouth then.
I always just assume those videos were full of people who dislike Charlie Kirk.
Well, I think that's what he's showing. He's showing the clips of the people that he's like burning.
I know
or
they
getting.
post agree-a-thons.
Yeah, like I think there are people that
It's owning arguments. It's a big thing.
No. I'm not talking about the people he's arguing. Those people are clearly.
Go on.
I just think there are people in the fore and background that are there just to I think half of them don't feel one way or the other. Okay.
Did you see the one where it's a girl? I forget what issue they're talking about, but she tries to pull her top down so her tit pops out because she wanted to get him banned or
Canceled?
a strike on YouTube.
No, I didn't see it.
There's a lot of hot chicks
It's like
that are woke.
Kamar's best moment ever.
Tell him how you like side tit.
Kamar's like, get me kicked off YouTube. He's down at the college campuses.
Just the sign.
Paul Rosseli wants to save the rainforest, and he mentioned something about some NGOs will also probably have the same mission statement to save the rainforest, and the CEOs are getting
Easy, Barbara Walters.
$500,000.
Yeah.
These huge salaries, and it may be the same case with pick a cause, fixing homelessness, saving the rainforest. There's so much administration stuff, nothing gets
What
really
does
done.
NGO stand for?
Non-government organization. You know what's our... Did you ever watch The Wire?
Down to the wire.
Did you see the first season of The Wire?
Of course.
I don't know if you remember, but there's a scene where the dude Cuddy gets out of jail, and he's in the streets for a bit, and then he realizes he doesn't want to be in the streets.
See the one who goes to work at the
boxing
boxing
gym.
ring? Yeah. I don't like that character.
That's fine. I only bring him up because there's a scene where he goes to Avon Barksdale to be like, I want to open this gym.
Yeah.
I need like 20 grand.
Yeah.
And they laugh at him.
Yeah.
And he thinks they're laughing at him because they're like, we're not giving you 20 grand, but they're laughing at him because 20 grand is such a fucking pathetic amount of money.
Yeah.
That he tells him, he's like, go get him 50 and get him started.
Yeah.
I bring that up because when Paul Rosalie was talking about money in this, at first the numbers he was dropping, I was like, oh, 150 million for this land in the Amazon. And then he's like, yeah, 150,000. And I was like, Joe, this is where you just step up and write the fucking $5 million check.
Yeah.
like-
That for sure. But he said 150,000 was the amount the rich guy was going to give him.
No,
to
I get it. And then
started.
and then someone was going to match it. But my point was, all the money they probably raised was 2 million tops, right? Like, it sounded like he would have been really excited.
Not only is that such a small amount of money, but he had just worked with Dax.
Shepard.
No, not Shepard.
Oh.
Dax De Silva.
Who's that?
He's this like crazy billionaire guy who's super into saving the environment. And I think he's the guy who made that whole treehouse happen. You know, the treehouse they just built?
Yeah.
That
Okay.
rich people are staying at. Anyways, like, so there was like a lot of money that millions and millions of dollars. You know what I mean?
My point, though, just goes back, like, and again, we don't know what Joe's doing. Like, Joe might have left the studio and cut this guy a check. I don't know. But it's one of these, well, you don't know.
I don't know. I don't know, Matt, but I get the impression that Joe is very frugal with his money, not with
disagree.
his friends and stuff, but with like, I don't know. Who knows? He's probably giving tons of money away. Who fucking knows? When you're that rich, it literally becomes
You
a
have to
good
for
thing
tax,
for you
for
to
tax
do it.
benefit.
Yeah.
You have to, yeah.
So he'd be stupid to not give it to the people who he likes.
He's close to. Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
Joe might remember that episode of Curb where the anonymous donation, Ted Danson.
Yeah,
like,
it's amazing.
I feel like Joe could be on that level. Where
You know what? I give Joe a hard time.
Yeah.
But you're probably right. Why it would seem cringe if he came on. Like, that's such a Burt Kreischer thing to do, right?
And you would hate it if he did that,
This
right?
is what I mean. So good on Joe. I bet he is giving away
Yeah.
tons of money. Not because he's a great guy, but because of the tax write-off. But it's nice that he's not shoving it down our throat.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he is helping. And I'm sure he does give money to the...
the Innocence Project
Innocence
and fucking
Project
yeah. I bet a lot of these people that come in and have like a good cause.
To the wells.
Yeah. I truly believe that behind the scenes he's
Look,
going.
you just like it that I've said something nice about Joe.
No,
you
Simon,
just-
actually, I'm glad you brought this up. I realized that you just have a superficial disdain for Joe. And actually, there's a point in this where
Kincaid?
No, Coleman. Sorry, Simon.
there was a point in this where
That's not how you said it would go.
Go ahead, Kumar.
keep it real. There's a point in this where Paul talked about losing a book deal because of Elon.
No, I'm sorry. You're going to say something about me, and I cut you off, but I want to hear what it was that you were going to say.
I said it.
No.
You superficially dislike Joe.
Go on.
There's a point where Paul Rosalie talked about losing his book deal.
Okay.
And it was because Elon liked to tweet, But there's also like a disdain from the people about his possible relationship with Joe Rogan and what that entailed because of what he represents. You don't agree with those people about Joe Rogan. You don't think he's actual danger to society, should be shut down. Like there's people that think he is really problematic.
I don't dislike
you disdain him for like fucking whatever. You hate everybody.
For his personality, not for his views.
Exactly.
You hate everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's really not that. It's not that I came around and agreed with
is
something Joe does.
I almost think it makes it like worse. It's more of a hatred.
Interesting.
Yeah, you're just a Trump, man. Just the biggest hate in the world, and you want them to know.
No, that's not it at all, man. I give everybody an absolutely fair shot. And look, I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan episodes, so it's not like
Simon's listened to them all.
Like over time, I'm saying, you know what I mean? And just like there's a certain date where things shift. And this podcast becomes something totally different than what it started as. But I think it's gone on for a long enough period of time that it was like a transition. And some people just never knew the old days. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, yeah.
Just like people don't know why prices are expensive or
Yes,
inflation for that matter.
Yeah, they don't understand that cheese used to be $3.25 for a brick, and now it's like $11. And
I mean, McDonald's is the best example. Kumar brought it up. You go to McDonald's now and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with this?
No matter what combination you try to skirt the system to keep it under $10.
That's not true. There are a couple of ways that you can skirt the system. Can I tell you the best way to skirt the system?
Sure.
For real.
Yeah.
For $12,
It's too
any
much.
time of day.
Yeah, 2 cheeseburger meal.
No.
Okay.
$12.
Yeah.
You can get 4, count them, 4 sausage McMuffins.
Okay.
4 sausage McMuffins for $12. Do the math. That's $3 a piece, my friend, for a sausage McMuffin.
That's way too
There is
overpriced.
no better deal than that at McDonald's.
Yeah, that used to, you know what 4 sausage McMuffins used to run you when we were kids?
Well, they were like
$1.50.
99 cents.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What the fuck
It
are
was
we
That
doing
should be
here?
$4. That should be $5.
Okay, look, everything's expensive.
You're
We're talking
justifying
about
it.
the best way to get around it.
Well, and okay, this brings me back to my point or Matt's point. There's never enough money. They were talking about how you make this money, and these guys, no matter how much they have, they're still going for more. And Joe's like, I would do this for free. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
But I would do this for free. Because he could easily, and I'm not speaking for Joe's watching his pocket or anything. And like you said, maybe he is giving a sizable amount to something else through it, just not. And it would be, even though under the guise of a write-off, what's your thing? Too much philanthropy.
Imagine Joe was donating all of the profits of the podcast to charity.
I doubt it, but I mean, listen, we hear all the time about CEOs that are like, I paid myself $1. That seems crazy to me.
No, they do that. For
I know
other
because they have
reasons.
stock options and shit. I get it,
It's
but
the
still.
the same reason why Elon doesn't want to have like anything.
Well, he doesn't want to have anything because he's full of shit, but
Oh no, he's so full of shit. It's crazy. But he's about to become like, if Trump wins, he'll be made something in the cabinet.
you think?
Joe Rogan?
I think 100%.
Joe
he will,
Rogan?
Matt. No, not Joe Rogan. He hates Joe Rogan.
You mean Elon Musk?
Elon.
We already know that. That's a foregone conclusion.
That's a foregone conclusion.
That's
What's
been
he going to be?
Secretary of Technology.
Czar of
Secretary of Technology.
Czar of
shit.
AI.
He asked that
Yeah.
to make it a bit funnier. So, anyways, back to Joe was talking about how there's plastic pipes and infrastructure.
PVC
Paul was like,
piping,
is that one reason people get water? It's like, yeah, when I do construction, I built tons of these houses, which is actually one house, and they dropped off the wrong pipes. And anyways, that's just me superficially hating Joe when he talks about his construction days.
Imagine Elon.
But they were days, not years.
His construction week.
Imagine Elon came out and he was like, you know what? From now on, I want to be known by my birth father's name.
Muskrat?
No, and changed his last name to Von Braun.
Oh.
Shut up.
Wouldn't
is that
that
true?
Wouldn't that make sense though? Like as a rocket guy to have a son who's the
Is
rocket
that his
guy?
dad?
No, his
well.
dad's some like weirdo from South Africa.
Some weirdo from South Africa.
Some diamond mine.
So
owner or
doesn't
something.
what Israel do to beat up people, like assassinating them and stuff, like why they're just doing it and no, like the Americans haven't done it?
What do you? That was the most
What the
fragmented sentence
fuck?
ever.
Was
Is it
that?
technology? Like to take out Gaddafi,
Yeah.
they had to pin him down and have rebels take him out. Like, but the Israelis can just blow you up with your cell phone. Like, yeah, that's what we did. And I was like, that's sort of weird that you just did that. It's not like sometimes we declare war, and it's weird that they give them warnings as well.
No, but the Americans try all sorts of shit to kill all sorts of people. Like you just
They're
have
just
to
not
go,
good at it.
No, well, sometimes they're not good at it, but I'm sure the Americans have assassinated a lot of people that you don't know about.
I feel like the Russians could kill Zelensky if they wanted to.
The Russians could kill Zelensky if they wanted to. Maybe.
Like, are they trying every day? It just seems like Israelis very effective at pinpointing leaders and stuff like that. And it's
I think the difference is that Israel believes that there is like a head of Hamas that if they kill will like end the organization, whereas they don't think like if
The head of
Zelensky
Hamas-
dies, you think that if Zelensky dies, they just stop going to
no.
war.
I'm just saying their tactics. Israel thinks the head of Hamas is Iran,
yeah,
so Iran has to be stopped. But it's still Americans. They're using American arms. Like,
Yeah.
you know, when you're beating yourself up, it's all American funding, all Israel's.
I saw the best
ability.
meme the other day. It was the Iron Dome stopping rockets, and it was like my taxpayer dollars, also my taxpayer dollars.
And we really
Sounds
want
about right.
the temperature to go down.
Yes,
Unless you think the best thing is for Iran to be regime changed, which is what we're on the cusp of, which we heard about. Remember that guy who was like, we're going to do...
Yeah.
We are now at that point where they're openly saying, you know, it's not the people of Iran. It's not the people of Iran. It's the guys in charge. We're not mad at you guys, which is... Like, and he was saying, do you not feel like there's adults in the room? How did, you know, the Jews in the Holocaust forgive Germany that we're at this point now? Like, how can we not, at this point, work out these differences some way? And then Joe said, you need evil and good or bad and conflict. Like, it's just
Why
part
do you
of,
think the Jews forgave the Germans?
well, we're here now. I mean, they didn't. They prosecuted all, they hunted them down and did whatever they could to the perpetrators, but they don't hate Germany or
Oh, I see. They're not like
Israelis, whatever,
actively
like,
at war with Germany.
a constant battle that is going on between Israel and the
Yeah,
Arab
yeah,
Muslim
I
whatever.
see.
We can't evolve, or we need it because this would be the saddest thing. If it's BlackRock, if it's Vanguard, if it's whoever, the military-industrial complex needs wars to happen.
But Israel's surrounded by its enemies, right? In the Middle East, like that was the plot of land they were given. Maybe if they were given like Hawaii,
didn't they want that?
No,
plot
no.
of land?
I'm just
Right?
yes,
it had
for sure.
biblical
Listen,
Yes, I
significance.
know.
they
that- I'm
they
making a
got
point.
whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
The Myra Lansky and the crew decided, and the Rothschilds, whatever. No, I'm just saying, if they had been given a different piece of land, like Hawaii, let's say, then they probably would be attacking Germany. You know what I mean? Like if they didn't have all these other things to deal with, maybe they would have made an enemy out of Germany.
And that would suck too. That
Like,
we're just
if you-
like, we live in a world of resent.
Like if you go to Mossad headquarters on the whiteboard, there's all these Arab nations, but at the bottom you still see in bold letters Germany.
Yeah.
It's like don't forget.
It's like Dave Portnoy's champagne bottles.
yeah. There's
you
a
know what
German-
I
there's a
mean?
giant
There's
German-
one for Hitler
Yeah,
at
exactly.
the end.
Illegal touching. That's a weird fucking foul.
Well, there's plenty of time left for Kincaid to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
They can
He
get
doesn't
that shit
report,
to-
and I don't want to sound like a cynic about the effects of climate change on the rainforest per se.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does seem like there's an effect. And you know where you never hear complain about climate change? The desert.
You know what, though? I don't think climate change in the rainforest is what's hurting the rainforest. I think it's the burning down of the rainforest by man encroaching on space.
Well, is
That's
it
the
crazy
problem.
if we're using wood as toilet paper?
It's insane.
That should be hemp at least or
Dude,
something, right?
All of this, but why are we using? Okay, if trees are this amazing thing, like I get that maybe there would be too many and you'd have to get rid of some, like a tree culling of some sort. But like, there's no way we have to be using paper anymore.
First, you guys are missing the biggest
And we
point.
have screens too. Like, why is any paper being used at this point?
You're missing the biggest point. If we're supposed to be carbon neutral, which we already are, but if everywhere is supposed to be trying to be carbon neutral, then everywhere, if what Joe said is true, everywhere should be growing nothing but hemp. Because they said that hemp absorbs carbon at like 5x the rate that
Is
a
that
normal
true?
tree
Who
does.
said that?
Joe did. Jamie pulled it up.
That's amazing.
So that's what I said. Is I was like, our country, for example, if we're really trying to be carbon neutral, how much fucking useless land do we have where hemp can grow anywhere?
Yeah.
Grow it.
Well, you know what all the land is for. Corn.
Yeah, but we have tons of other land. Like, you don't, that's like, there's certain land where like it should be used for farmland. What I'm saying is hemp can grow fucking anywhere. It's a weed. Like, grow it up in the fucking mountains. Grow it everywhere. We should be growing it everywhere.
Sorry, I guess my point was if high fructose corn
I get what you're
syrup
saying,
wasn't so
Prevalent.
integral to everything we do, then some of that space could go to grow hemp.
I mean, we're not lacking space.
We're not
is my
lacking
point. That's
space,
where I'm
yeah.
going. And hemp doesn't have a problem growing. And like they were saying, it's like a 3-month cycle for you to
Yeah.
go from
No.
no hemp to a full hemp
Dude,
stalk.
it's fucking nuts. It's crazy.
But it goes back to what I was saying a couple weeks ago about how it feels like we still, like, as advanced as we've become, we're still stuck with all this old, weird, old world shit.
Yep. Yeah, no, totally. It's kind of like when, well, just an example, like I worked at a business with my mom when I was growing, well, not growing up, but when I was younger.
Yeah.
And as I took over, we still did things the same way she did things. You know what
course,
I mean?
yeah.
Like that's just, and sometimes I would say, why do we do it like this?
Yeah.
And it's just always the way we've done it. I'm like, well, it's not the most effective way to do it, you know?
And it's not even a thought in your head that you're like, wait a minute, I should
it's
be doing
not
this
even a
different.
thought
Yeah.
in your head. Yeah. Yeah. And that's on like a minor scale. I'm talking about myself and it is bothering Kamar so much.
Not at all. Not at all.
But it goes, you know what? It actually brings up a better point. Like, I saw a bunch of people post that New York Times or Atlantic article about changing the Constitution. And I had the same knee-jerk reaction where I was like, is this really where we're at? But then I stopped and I was like, you know, the guys that wrote that, they literally were like, we're sick of how things are here. We're going to go make something better and write a better thing. The idea of rewriting the Constitution is literally the idea of the Constitution. I
Right,
know it
yeah.
sounds crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
like what
yeah.
I'm saying sounds crazy. The mere thought of rethinking it is not like, it doesn't have to be this, you're a terrible piece of shit. Like, you could rewrite it and keep all the really good stuff. Just
Sounds like you could do that with the Bible too.
this guy's the king derailer over here.
No, I mean,
No,
you
it's
could.
the exact same thought.
Sure.
Like the idea
With
that the
anything, you
Bible
could-
is the word.
Yeah.
Is carried on in tradition with the Constitution, with the Declaration of
I guess
Independence.
it's just weird for it to happen all of a sudden. You would have hoped that it would have been something that they included into the original documents. Like every 5 years, we're going to reconvene and annex out the shit that doesn't make sense and go forward with 2 new
And listen, for Americans listening,
amendments.
And with the
year.
efficiency of
I don't
government,
think-
it should be quite easy.
for Americans listening, I don't think the Constitution needs to be rewritten. I'm just saying that the mere thought of someone saying that shouldn't send you into a tizzy where you're like, you're a fucking piece of shit.
I think the point was that it's being said, as floated as an idea, and some people think that's dangerous. And there was another woman, I think she was on Bill Maher, and Leibowitz said they should get rid of the Supreme Court. So there's people just throwing out ideas that other people are like, no, we just can't do that. That's how we run.
Listen, I don't think they should get rid of the Supreme Court. I'm sure at one point the Supreme Court was a good idea. But this idea that like there's all this crookedness to get Supreme Court members in and then they're in for life, that seems like not a great idea anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like knowing what we know now, anointing people for life into positions probably isn't a great idea.
I mean, I don't know if I have a problem with the for life thing. I think the issue that I have is like the last guy that got in was a perfect example. Like he lied to Congress about all that
Is
buffing
that
shit.
Kavanaugh?
Yeah. Remember they were like, there was a woman that came forward that was like, this guy raped me or like
Well,
sex.
she couldn't remember shit.
Yeah, the point is though,
In his defense.
it doesn't matter. I'm not saying he raped her. My point is this: he went in front of Congress, and they were like, "You have in your calendar here buffing this girl what does buffin mean? And he was like, oh, I don't remember.
yeah.
My point is simply, you want to put this guy in the highest court in the land. He lied in front of Congress. That right away is give us the next best guy. And they wouldn't do that. Yeah. And that's where it's a bit corrupt to me. Now, again, I still think the Supreme Court is very important.
I'm not saying it's not important.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like you were saying, there are old rules that maybe don't make sense in today's times. Yeah. Like maybe it made sense to them back in the day. Like, yeah, we'll just keep these guys who know the most stuff in for the longest time. But we also know that old people, as they get older, sometimes lose a couple of steps. You know what I mean? Or maybe they're too stuck in their ways and things have changed around them, but they're unwilling to budge.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
Like we used to send kids to jail for not pulling their pants up, and I'm going to continue to do so. You know what I mean? Or you end up with like, look, it's not beyond judges to be corrupt, you know?
Oh, we know that, yeah.
Like, look at that whole judge thing. Remember where they were sending the kids fucking crazy, man. I know that wasn't the Supreme Court, but...
Well, I think that's the idea, is that the people that make the Supreme Court are so above and beyond. I'm just saying the idea, Simon.
The idea, but we all know that that's not the case, right?
Yeah.
It's... just like every other part of politics, it's
but you
nepotism and pulling favors.
You were mentioning the for life thing. I think the whole idea of the for life thing is that you then can't be bought as easily, right? Because you know that you're secure in your job. It's well paying.
Matt, it makes sense. It's like it makes you free to do the right thing. And yet I think we can see now that there's probably some sort of happy median there where it's not for life. It's for a certain amount of years, and that probably will keep everybody clean, you know? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just a stupid idiot. I'm just a guy who, you know, took the vaccine like they told him to.
So talking about logging, toilet paper, gets us into the decorticator, and that's the first hour. Cool things like the oldest tree and Starlink in the trees to get your footage of a certain somebody.
It's interesting that they can't tell how old the tree is because you would have to cut it down and count the rings.
Yeah, they're just guessing.
No, I think they could drill
I know. I'm just joking, but that's what Joe was insinuating. Like, we'll never know the age of these trees for real. And I was pretty sure they were like able to tell, but they also said between 9 and 6,000 years or whatever.
But still, a tree that's even 1,000 years old
it's crazy.
is...
Dude, those redwood trees, when you see the pictures of them, cutting those things down, and it's like 8 guys with these giant handsaws for this tree that you can drive a car through. It's like, first of all, the idea of cutting those down, like all to get paper that they didn't even need.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Oh, I wonder if they use those to build houses or do something.
No, I know for sure. There are things that would still be used for. Yeah. I'm not saying, but I bet you most of the wood in the world goes towards paper.
No, I think the logging industry is... I mean, you're forgetting that every house is built with wood.
Newspapers going debunked has got to help a bit.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That was the lowest form of paper.
In general,
I mean,
we're almost in a
off
paperless world in general. Like mail has been cut in like...
It used to be, though, I imagine, a lot.
I would agree with you that if you went back far enough, but right now, I would assume it's mostly for housing projects.
Which
like
we
building.
Would still use. Although I'm sure they could figure
3D
out
print
some
houses
other
now.
way to...
And there's also brick.
Flyering sort of out too now. It's all sort of social media.
Yeah, 100%.
I wish I was a promoter. And
like, I wonder, is wood just convenient for them? Like, it doesn't seem like it's a very convenient
I meant to bring
process.
this up 5 posters.
Well, what do you mean? You got to go like cut down the tree?
Into...
Oh, no, for building. I'm saying like for the harvesting of it. It's not like an easy process.
Well, nothing is. Bricks aren't easy.
No, but okay.
Concrete's not easy.
Corn is easy. You know what I mean? They grow it in the fields. It grows really fast. They chop it with the blades and...
You can't build a house out of corn.
No,
I'm just trying to figure out where you're getting at.
Well, I don't know. Maybe there's another wood that they could be growing that grows super fast. Like, I don't know. Maybe we should be using more bamboo over here or something. It's not a wood, but people use it for houses.
Come on, what else you got?
In a year, the Canadian dairy farmers can throw it up to 30,000 liters of milk. And I think it can even be more than that, to be honest with you. But it's supply management. You've ever heard that term?
Throw out? Is that what you said?
That's what they do.
Yeah, they don't want to have like a surplus of
like a
milk,
price
that sort of
control.
thing.
But how
Yeah,
much
yeah.
butter could that make? Like all there's the this is what I'm saying. Just why we're using wood and logging.
You know how there's two types of milk you can buy now? There's the old fashioned milk like we used to get that has an expiry date that's usually like 2 weeks from the time you buy it. Maybe a week. I don't even remember what and then there's another type of milk you can buy. So the old milk opens like the milk. You flip the top and you pop it and it makes a little
Get to
triangle.
what
I'm
you're
just
saying.
explaining for the people who maybe don't know, Matt.
okay.
The new milk,
Yeah.
this new stuff I'm talking about, has a little screw top. That's how you'll know it from the old milk. I'm just trying to help you
Oh,
here.
we both know what you're talking about.
Do you?
It's a Tetra Pak,
Matt doesn't seem to know. I don't think
I'm
Matt
so
does any
angry the
shopping
way you're
for
talking to me.
himself.
and it has a shelf life of a year, as long as you don't open it.
It's not a year, but it's like many months.
Okay.
What are they doing to that milk to make it last so much longer?
They're cooking it.
None of that's
killing
real
all
milk. It's
bacteria
all
in it,
like
yeah.
almond milk and fucking.
No, there's milk. There's milk.
It's milk, man. It's milk.
They're boiling,
Matt,
so there's no bacteria in it
Matt,
whatsoever.
You don't shop. You don't know.
Simon, you don't shop. Simon, you don't shop.
This guy doesn't know what he's talking
Simon's never shopped for anything in his life.
Well, Starlink
When was
in
the
the
last time
trees.
you went to the grocery store?
Yesterday.
Wow.
When was the last time you went to the grocery store?
Shots
Never.
fired.
Simon's never even stepped foot in a grocery store. He's like, what? They sell things here?
Okay. That's rude and anti-Semitic.
Well, you were being rude to me first, and then when I return the rudeness, you're somehow appalled by it. And you have to sprinkle a bit of anti-Semitism on there, obviously. Jump in anytime you want, Kumar. He gives me a Zin face, half a Zin smile, this fucking guy.
That's my Riz. Starlink in the trees to see Bigfoot. I'm moving on. Then they talked about native populations. It would be cool to find an arrowhead. I don't know why we don't. And the whole they were violent as well. Say what?
Wait, what a weird thing to say. I don't know why we haven't found an air. I don't know why we don't.
Why
Who,
we
us?
don't? What? Who?
Don't you think in your life living around here where there were tribes running once upon a time?
We live
I
in a
find
city.
arrowheads all the time.
That's cool, man. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Which the other weird thing is missionaries.
Why, going to spread the word of God?
Spread the word of God, but especially in South America. Did you ever see the movie The Missionary?
No.
With Robert De Niro and Jeremy Irons?
No.
It's all about...
I don't think I've seen it.
It's
either.
really, really good movie.
You were hoping that was going to be the movie.
No, I
name?
wasn't.
Oh.
It is all about the missionaries back then, where you have these uncontacted. He talks about them in this.
Jeremy Iron and Robert De Niro, two people I never thought made a movie together. How about
I would
that?
agree, yeah.
Really good movie, all set in South America. Beautiful soundtrack. I highly recommend it.
Beautiful soundtrack.
This is the point that on my Tuesday where I got a text from Pat Murray being like, it was released in 1983. It was actually a great fucking
It
film.
is. Well, hey, Pat, if you see... it
Happy
is a great
birthday, by the way,
And,
Pat. Happy
and
birthday.
the soundtrack was amazing. I checked out track 3. No,
Yeah,
he'll send us
me
the track.
he'll send
No,
me
I
the
think
track.
it might be
yeah.
Hans Zimmerman. Go fuck yourself.
Dude,
Hans
nobody is
Zimmerman.
better than Hans Zimmerman. Brings us to one of my favorite movies of all time
Okay.
that I can't remember. Oh, Power of One.
Okay.
Have you ever seen it?
Awesome.
Stephen Dorff, Morgan Freeman. It's based on a book by Bryce Courtney, I believe. And maybe not. But either way, it's really fucking good, Matt. Out of all the movies I've ever suggested
Power of
that you
One?
watch. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about this many times.
I suggest you watch it.
Okay.
I don't think you can find it anywhere. You might have to pay for it.
Okay.
And Hans Zimmer does his best work ever. It's all African music. So good.
And it's Hans's best work ever. You say.
Hans's best work ever, hands
Interesting.
down.
Hans down.
Hans down.
I'm here all week.
Bravo.
Thank you. I'm
That's
here all week.
showbiz.
That's showbiz.
Kamar, like this guy is hitting all the high notes while
I'm
you're
trying,
sitting
man.
over
I'm
there
trying so hard.
zinning away.
They talked about NFTs, and we can sort of look back at that at such an interesting time. But is it tied to that the NFTs are bought with crypto? So if crypto goes back up, NFTs will be back up?
Oh, some of them are never going back.
That's
up.
never
Get
going
the
up.
fuck out of here. A lot of them were used to funnel
I think
money.
the only NFTs that have value would be like the Beeple ones.
No, I was going to say any serious artist that made them as like a. I mean, the Bieber ones for sure, but I know artists that did like they released it with a piece of real art.
Yep.
Those will also probably maintain value.
Well, because then it's just a bonus. That
I
you
think
get
then it's
the
more of
NFT.
like what's the word I'm looking for? Authenticity. It's
That's right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you have a digital authenticity for your
actual physical
practical,
art.
whatever it is, piece of art. You know,
I remember Daniel Ashram released one where he was like, over time, the NFT will deteriorate. Like he's the guy who does those. He'll do like a Pokemon sculpture, and it'll have a bunch of like crystals popping out of the head. You've probably seen them.
I know who
yeah. So he like his like deteriorates over time. So that's kind of cool. Like most NFTs, 99.9% will be valueless, of course.
the Bored Ape Yacht Club, when they were trying to, I'm like yelling at the thing. Anyways, those have no value. You know what I mean?
Keep in mind too, as long as people are willing to clean and move money,
But it would have been
some of them will always have
It would have
value.
been so easy for those to have value. Like just make a vinyl toy for each one that you do. But they didn't want to spend any money. It was like, oh, we actually
Just
have
a rug
to
pull.
give some of this money to actually make something for you. Oh, no. That doesn't check with our the way we were doing things. And I'm not saying the artists. I'm saying the people who invented these ones that were like,
scams.
well, that wasn't even a scam. That was just so many people thought it was popular that it somehow gave it, right? Like, it wasn't a scam in the same way Logan Paul's was a scam.
I get
We're
it.
going to
People were just
promise you
jumping on
something.
a- oh my
they gave
God.
you exactly what they promised you.
People were just jumping on
They
the
were
bandwagon.
just
I
like,
get it. Yeah.
it was like Supreme for a second.
Yeah.
Was it Kincaid?
That was an interception. Come on, Ralph.
That's great.
There was someone on a couple weeks ago who talked about a theory is
for me.
something. It's very simple.
Yeah.
A theory, and NFTs was never simple. I always found myself, even when I was caught up in the hype, like explaining fungible, non-fungible, blockchain, like where someone tries to explain a credit default swap.
Yeah, but come on.
I mean,
that's-
it was pretty simple, though, which I think is what Matt was going to say.
No, what I was going to say is that like everything when it first arrives is tough to explain. The internet would have been fairly difficult for you to push on like a family member in the early 90s. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's like a bunch of computers connected and you could go to a website that a company
Well, that's
like
because you're trying to explain too much. You know what I mean? Just say, this is a way for us to communicate together. Boom, internet.
yeah, okay, that too. Yeah.
Kind of like my point with the NFTs was going to be, you have a piece of art and this authenticates that art so nobody can steal it. If they try and sell it, you are going to retain value from your original selling of it.
I also I'll go back to it. I think the beauty of the NFTs, the reason that it might have could still have legs in the future was the royalty aspect.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like that. If you're an artist, there is no fucking way you're not interested in something like that.
Yeah, but all they have to do is they made NFT into a thing. What an NFT should have been is an authenticating tool for art. You make a piece of art, you want to have it authenticated digitally so that you can now track this piece of art's movement. So in order for that original piece of art to be sold, it has to be sold with the
NFT.
the NFT, which is the authenticator.
Like a pink slip for your car.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just allowing you to collect on all future sales. And it's not going to be a lot. I don't know what the actual...
You set it up.
Oh, you set it up.
As the artist,
Interesting.
you always
Oh,
set up your royalty.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you
so if
decide
somebody
it.
buys it, they can say, oh no, that royalty's too much. I don't want to deal with you.
I believe, yeah, something like that, yeah.
Something. Well, I mean, obviously, if you're the buyer.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Anyways, yeah, that to me is a good idea that probably will stand the test of time because NFTs are done, presumably, but the blockchain isn't done. No. Like it's still whatever.
Well, NFTs aren't done either because they still exist. People own them and there's still people making them. So you can't sit here and be like, you could say that it's dead in the sense that like, I bet there was a time where people thought collecting cards was dead. And now it's fucking the biggest, you know what I mean?
I'm equating it to, Matt, like I have a box full of fidget spinners. Yeah. At one point, they were worth a lot of money. Now they're worth nothing
agree,
more
yeah.
than the ball bearings that are inside them. Like that's NFTs.
I mean, but you could like Furbies might have. You could argue we're the same. Is that the one I'm talking about? The little
Yeah.
the plush dolls with the not Furbies.
No,
What am I
Furbies
talking
were the
about?
talking things.
Not
Beanie
Furbies.
Babies.
Beanie Babies. Like
So maybe one day Beanie Babies will go back up in value.
yeah. But maybe NFTs will too, right?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But that could be
Into the mic.
said for literally anything.
Of course.
Like I have fucking toilet paper. One day there may not be toilet paper, and that toilet paper will be worth a lot of money. Like
100%. Yeah.
if we're all washing our ass digitally, whatever
Can't
that
wait.
means.
I can't wait for that.
Did you know this Shawshank Redemption bombed in theaters?
That's insane. Sorry, just one thing. That's another thing. The toilet paper. Like while we're on the paper,
Yeah.
how is it that bidet technology just
I'm
wasn't
sure it was
always
also
a
William
thing?
Randolph Hearst.
Right?
Like I'm sure he
This
was like,
guy's
don't
like-
let
Yes.
anyone
We
put a
have this
hose in their
great-
bathroom.
management.
In fact, is there any way we can put the shower away from the toilet?
Dude, that must have been a great at the World's Fair when they were trying to show the bidet for the first time. You
Yeah,
know
no,
what I
I'd
mean?
like to wipe my ass with a piece of wood. Thank you.
Yeah. It's like how they
My grandfather used leaves. His grandfather used leaves. You think I'm going to start using water?
killed the electric car.
Yeah. How they killed the bidet.
How they pooped all over the self-cleaning toilet. That would be the tagline.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. You're busy watching football, but that's fine.
I'm not watching football. There's not even a game on. Kamar. I'm waiting for Kamar to make his next point.
Have you seen The Revenant?
Oh no, sorry, Shawshank. I cut you off.
Shawshank Redemption
Shawshank bombed in the theaters. No, it didn't.
What is bomb? Well, let's make that the movie
So
game. then.
didn't it win the best movie that year?
So,
yes,
that's
it
the
did.
catch.
It did win best movie.
When it
that
was
year.
first released, it cost $25 million to make. And on its first release, it made $16 million.
1-6?
$16 million.
1-6.
1-6.
In how many theaters?
In a full release. Now, what happened was it won the Oscars.
And then was
it was
re-released?
re-released
And then went
Shut
gangbusters.
the fuck.
to $73.3 million. But initially, it
Holy
bombed.
shit.
Listen, though, I defy any person to have gone to see that movie and have walked out and been like, oh, well, that stunk. You know
Well,
what I mean?
but
Like,
it
if you
didn't
saw
happen.
it,
Didn't
you
happen.
must have loved
Yeah.
it. So it just must have gone totally unnoticed.
It was
by-
1994, and people just weren't into word of mouth.
What
But
else
that's also
was
why
out
when-
that year, 1994, that was taking the shimmer away from this movie?
Well, blockbusters always take the shimmer off of any like artsy sort of, right? Like if there was like Twister probably came out in 94. Jurassic Park.
Something like that. Something must have, because listen, Shawshank.
Well, think about it. Let's say Shawshank came out in the summer. Let's just say that for the sake of this argument, it would have gone up against Twister
Yeah.
and Jurassic Park. And if you remember what theaters were like back then, like I bet the 16 million people that saw it only saw it because those two movies were sold out.
I don't think. Oh, I forget what it was. It doesn't matter. Shawshank, what a great movie, though. I was gonna say I don't think I saw it in the theaters.
I definitely did not.
I'm trying to remember the first time I saw it.
No one saw it in the theaters, as we clearly saw. But
Well, you could have seen it after.
other movies at that same time
Yeah.
that you could say may have lived in the shadow of was The Mask,
Okay, great example. A huge movie.
4 Weddings and a Funeral,
Nobody was. That was like a indie film.
I think it did pretty well though.
Interview with a Vampire,
That was a
Good
huge.
one, yeah.
Dumb and Dumber,
Okay.
Okay, well, sure.
True Lies.
Huge.
That was a
movie.
huge
Massive movie.
One of the first $100 million
Okay.
budget movies. Speed.
Oh my god, a fucking the epitome of blockbuster.
Pulp Fiction.
Well, nobody knew about it.
No, it was up against it for Best Picture. Am I wrong?
The Lion King, yeah. And Forrest Gump.
Oh, that's a fucking huge year for movies. Mother
Shawshank
of
just
God.
a prison movie. What is it going to have gay sex in it?
Shawshank came out the same year as Forrest Gump. Huh?
That makes sense.
That's
yeah,
interesting.
I remember True Lies and Forrest Gump were up against each other in all the technical awards for like special effects and stuff. Because Arnold Schwarzenegger was never near that jet.
Did True
What's
Lies have Tom Arnold in it?
Of course,
It did, right?
such a
and
good movie.
Bill Paxton playing the fake,
The best.
greasy,
The greasy fake
agent.
CIA
Oh,
agent.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Rest in power.
Do it, Dusenel.
Have you guys seen The Revenant, though?
Do it softly.
I'm sure we've done The Revenant.
It's the JRE movie games. The time has come again. For Matt and Simon to rack their brains to guess the budget in the box office. We all know they won't guess the year, and the Patreons are the real winners here at the JRE movie game. Come on, take it away, baby.
It's the movie game where Matt and Simon go head to head to find out what year movie came out, how much it cost to make, and how much it made at the box office. This week we're kicking off with The Revenant, starring Tom Hardy, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Why would you start with Tom
Directed
Hardy?
by Alejandro G. Iratu, my favorite.
We should do True Lies because I'm pretty sure we've done The Revenant before.
Well, if he hits it out of the park, we'll know we did it before.
I haven't looked back. I can look back if you want.
I would say the amount of marijuana. I love that you can look back like it's AI and figure it out right away.
It's like manual chat GPT.
It is. Yeah, this
Just
is the
give me a
old
sec.
chat GPT. Let me go through my
this
notes.
Is Matt
Hey, man.
GPT.
Yeah.
Leonardo might be going down with Diddy.
He's definitely.
Everyone.
There were
going
so many
down with
people
Diddy.
going down with Diddy. Ashton Kutcher's going down with Diddy.
The list goes on and on.
And then there's the abused of
Oh,
Diddy,
that's what I was gonna
the
say.
Justins.
So there's a
and
full
the-
Diddy cartoon going. There's no Epstein cartoon.
No,
With the presidents and people running around like no one wants.
there should be.
There would be in this world that we're living in that someone could do that one. And this one is scathing. If you watch it, it'll really be like,
The cartoon?
yes, you won't believe that someone was through all this to make it based on alleged shit. And Get Him to the Greek is a whole different movie now.
Why?
You don't remember Get Him to the Greek?
Because
Well-
Diddy's in it, and they have to go to like a
Oh,
Diddy
that's
party.
right. Yes, yes,
if you want
yes.
to party hard, you go like it's like they
Well,
told
apparently
you.
that's another person who's getting canceled by this whole
Russell
Diddy
Brand
thing.
is
Yeah.
out there praying.
Yeah.
with
He's been
Jordan
awfully
Peterson.
quiet. He's
Yeah.
been awfully quiet.
Well, he switched his whole thing and became this like Catholic dude.
Well, no, that's what they're saying. Everyone
that's to steer
Mace
clear.
did it.
Simon, do you have a
Justin
year?
Bieber did. Everyone goes Christian
Oh, we're doing this?
to
I
wash the
can't
sins of
find the
Hank Diddy.
Revenant, so I
Alright,
assume we haven't
fine.
done it.
You immature little bastard.
Are you talking to me?
And so they talked about it, and then it's actually
This
just all made
fucking
up.
guy.
Can't trust anything. The bear was fake. The location's fake. The film was fantastic, though. Phenomenal.
I'm all ready, Simon.
And Buffalo is crawling back, unlike the teams that I need to win.
Okay, I'm ready too, Matt.
All right, I said it came out in 2018.
And I said 2017.
Simon, you're so close. It came out in 2015. December, so that's why you're so close.
Not far back, huh?
So you can go first then, Matt.
I said it cost 27.8 and it made 187.
Oh, I went bigger than that. I said it cost 42 million to make, and it grossed 323. 323.
The Revenant came out on
Yeah, we know.
2015. The budget was $135 million.
For all that CGI?
Well, they
I don't know
filmed
if
some
I've
of it in
ever-
Argentina. They
I don't know
said.
if I've ever been that far off.
And the box office, 533 million.
You were so far off, Matt.
Listen, if
You
you thought
weren't
I was
even
going
in
to
the
cheat that
ballpark.
one,
Yeah.
I could not
Yes.
have been further off.
Yes. There you go.
And that is the movie game. Lastly, they brought up, I mean, this guy's doing the Lord's work. I don't think he'd do this for free, so he's getting paid. But
We didn't talk about any animals. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Not one animal this whole episode.
Well, it kind of shows you what they talked about.
they talked about only animals. But stories we've, anyways. When we look back at what happened to Will Smith, like how crazy the world is when you can recount and say, what happened?
We were just talking about this, my wife and I, the other night because
Alive.
we were both watching it live.
Mm-hmm.
It was just one of those moments we got to see.
Yeah.
And just how crazy the whole thing was. And then, yeah, like exactly. You look back on it now and you're like, the Oscars should have gotten way more flack for not immediately intervening.
Ejecting him from the building.
Getting him out of there. You can't then give him the award after. That's insane.
It's sort of like letting
Crazy
fight.
as shit.
That's
ever.
insane. I guess Jada would have to have gone up and gotten it, which would have been crazy. Who knows what would have happened?
It would have been nuts.
Have you heard the story about Jada catching, Will Smith catching Jada banging Mark Anthony and beating the shit out of Jada, that they had to bring in a plastic surgery team to the
No,
house?
I'm sorry. Repeat that.
Mark
Smith.
Anthony, you know, creepy looking
Yeah, Mark Anthony,
that
yeah.
was married to J-Lo,
Yeah.
was banging Jada on the couch.
Okay.
Will came home, got furious, and beat the shit out of her that they had to bring in.
Beat the shit out of her.
Out of Jada, yeah.
No one fucks with Mark Anthony, apparently. This
Well,
guy's got something.
Apparently, Will Smith is another one who's going to get diddy-eyed because he was there for the kids. And Jada apparently was into kids too. And that's why she ended up banging her son's friend, which all kind of makes sense now. You know what I mean?
The only thing I'll say is it makes
She
sense.
probably got that dude through Diddy. Allegedly. This is all alleged. I'm not looking for any beef with the Smith
beautiful.
Pinkettes.
You would never, ever be sitting around in your life and like, throw on some Diddy.
Never.
Never. Like, his music wasn't good.
Terrible.
Bad
That's Mace.
boys.
He did some collabs.
Feel so
Have you gone down the Craig Mack hole with Biggie and Diddy?
Oh, I know they fucked Craig Mack big time.
Yeah, like it's so crazy what you
Is
would
that
not
what you were
know.
talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I
you
know
would
that,
not
yeah.
know what happened at the time because there was no social media and just rappers broke up and this guy fell off that person, or it turns out they're all stealing from everyone and apparently having freak offs.
You know what's crazy, Kamar, and I'm sure you know this, is J. Cole.
Siding with Drake.
No, I told Simon this.
No, I'd already seen it. Thank you.
Okay, sure. This fucking guy is the worst. This fucking guy.
Do you want to tell him then?
No,
Matt,
go ahead, please.
If you
I insist.
would rather.
No, you
Share
should
your
do that.
knowledge as
Anyways,
you think
he was like a guy who stood up to Diddy.
Mm-hmm.
And they got into like a thing, and he never drove a car since. He bikes
because of what happened to
everywhere.
Cuddy.
Kamar knows, see?
There you go.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy that's unfolding before our eyes. He's going to go to jail forever. But if it brings a whole whackload of stuff down, it is crazy.
That's not going to happen. It's not going to bring a whole whackload of anything down. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to happen.
Well, can I tell you one thing?
Sure. You can tell me
There's
whatever
a
you'd like.
difference between the power of celebrities and the power of, let's call them like politicians.
Okay.
I'm just saying the people who were involved with Epstein were like a very high power group of people. I think that's different than like an Ashton Kutcher. He's very powerful.
No, but what about Clive Owen?
I don't think those guys have the same kind of power as like
Now Simon's talking out his anus. We're talking about the heads of the music industry.
Clive Owen, the actor.
No.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Clive Davis, sorry.
I don't think the head of the music industry
MCA Universal.
has the same power as like a general
Congressman?
in the army or whatever,
man.
you know?
I'd say
Okay, well, you chose a weird one. You
That
said
was
a
a
general in an army.
that was a
you
stupid
realize,
one. That
you
was a
realize
stupid
you're
one.
wrong. You're out. Out.
So sorry, you think Diddy's operation was more important than the Epstein operation? I don't think so at all.
There's billionaires involved.
I mean, yes, but
A lot of CEOs quit the day he got arrested. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, okay. But look. Yes, they're both interesting. So
And both heinous and bad. I'm not saying-
maybe they will.
It's the
turn out.
worst of the worst. But yeah, they did talk a lot about animals. I give it a 2.5.
Cat Williams definitely looks pretty good right now, though.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. A soothsayer, the truth.
Like,
Why?
Well,
What do you mean?
remember
He went on
Sharp
Shannon
interview?
Sharp, and there was like the biggest fucking. It was the biggest YouTube video of that week because Cat was just going
He
off.
specifically said it doesn't even matter if you're Diddy or how big your dick is. All of this is to
Okay,
come
there
out
you go.
Yeah.
and
Wow.
reveal itself because
Yeah.
the truth.
So I'm telling
is
you.
the cat. Who said I would punch him?
So maybe he did read 700 books a week.
Yeah,
Not everything has to be true.
I give this one a 2. It was pretty much the same as the first time he was on.
I'll give it a 2.5, and I really wish that they had only spoken about
Like I like Paul Rosalie.
Boas.
Great fucking dude. Great.
he got. But that's the problem. He went on as like a bro instead of going on as a
Paul Rosalie. Yeah.
guy to tell us what he was and what he did. And that's the problem with Joe Rogan. Just I know But because he has the same guys on over and over, that's what happens. The first time you may get that good episode,
Yeah.
but every subsequent time you're just going to get, first of all, it's going to be like a jerk off fest where they tell Joe what a great comedian he is
jerk-off
and how
fest.
great his special is, how great his comedy club is.
At one point, I thought they sound like two kids talking about animals. And I was imagining the hookup before, like, hey, Paul, you want to come back and talk about animals again?
Well, that's fun.
Because that's what they did, yeah.
No. Is that what they did? Well, I wish that's what we had talked about then.
Oh, sorry, Simon.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
It's always the post show.
I wish
right.
I had
That's an
known.
episode. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Maybe you're willing to stick around and support the show a little further. Listen to the post show. We have a Patreon. If you want to support the show, it's $5 a month. Head over to patreon.com/JREE podcast. For that $5, you'll get the post show, the show after show we shoot the shit. You'll also get a bunch of old episodes. This won't age well. Show where we went back and listened to old episodes of Joe and did the same thing we do here. Moon debate, garbage, this, that, and the next. We hope you have a great week. We hope you have a great weekend. Thank you to all the Patreons. Thank you to BetterHelp. And Simon?
Let's take this slogan viral. Keep your eyes open.